As a PhD student, you might have often felt like you've made zero progress for days, weeks, or even months, and yet all you seem to do and think about is work. That can be very hard to deal with and can bring some additional stress. What helped me on several occasions is time tracking, or in other words, making note of what I worked on and for how long. You might realize that you're working a lot, but academia skewed your image of progress and made you think that progress is only research successes. In this video, I'll talk about the benefits of time tracking, why I do it, how to do it, and also show you the data of my tracking app for the last year of my PhD. I will also tell you how much time effectively I aim to work each day or each week. And you might think, but Ivan, why should I spend more time on tracking time when I already don't have enough time to do all the things that I need to do in my PhD? Well, there are a lot of benefits of time tracking, and I'll mention two most important ones, at least to me. So first thing, after several weeks of time tracking, you can look back and reflect on which tasks occupy your work week, which task took you maybe more time than you have planned on spending on these tasks, and this will give you a better understanding of how to allocate time for these tasks in the future. And the second thing is that you make a conscious decision to work on a very specific task for a limited amount of time. This can help eliminate procrastination and help you be more focused on the task that you're doing, as you know that you'll be doing it only for this small amount of time. Why did I start time tracking? Well, in my last internship, before starting the PhD, I found myself being in the office for 10 hours a day while getting little work done. I was quite desperate, so I decided to try out the Pomodoro technique. And before you say, oh man, another Pomodoro video, let me tell you why it didn't work for me and how I adjusted this technique to make it work for my needs. For those of you who don't know, Pomodoro technique proposes to work in blocks of 25 minutes with 5-minute breaks in between them. Then, after 4 such working blocks, one is advised to take a longer 15 to 30 minute break. That's great, but what I personally don't like is this super fixed structure, and this might be a thing that pushed you away from the Pomodoro method before if you tried it. So what I personally do is that I take as long as break as I want to, every time. So sometimes I would skip it entirely if I'm in the flow and I kinda feel good about the tasks that I'm doing and want to keep doing them. Sometimes I would take 15-minute break or 30-minute break, even though Pomodoro apps says that I should take a short one. There's only one important thing to me. When I start the timer, I focus completely on the task that I'm doing. So for the next 25 minutes, I'm doing just this task, nothing else. If I have to do some writing, that means I'm doing just writing for the next 25 minutes. Maybe some very important emails come up. I'm not looking at them. I'm ignoring everything for the next 25 minutes. Then, for the next Pomodoro session, I can change that. And also, I can take a 3-hour break after these 25 minutes. I can scroll through all social media posts that exist in the world. But in this 25-minute time, I must do all the work. And this 25 minutes works for me. It doesn't have to work for you at all. Some people prefer it in 15-minute intervals. It's 10-minute breaks, whatever you like. After the first Pomodoro block, the second one will be easier. I guarantee you that. So if you are struggling to get something started, try it out. To do well in a PhD, we must be able to focus, and this technique has helped me a lot. Also, if you have some boring tasks that you've been avoiding for the last 2 weeks, just say to yourself, okay, for the next 25 minutes, I'm filling out these forms and, whatever comes out, comes out. And it kind of works, like brain is funny in that way. I've been tracking how much I work each day in my PhD. So let's look together to the data of my last year of my PhD journey. I'm using PomodoroTracker.com, but you can use whatever app or no app at all. You don't even have to settle for Pomodoro technique. You can look into time blocking approaches. They might work better for you. But yeah, here's what I do. Here are 6 groups I group my work in. So here we see that I spend some time on coding, writing, teaching assistant duties, reading, some organization stuff, and learning, which takes like PhD courses and similar stuff. And in the beginning, I was not tracking tasks by groups, but then I noticed that I'm working very hard, but I'm making very little progress in my research. This brought a lot of stress, so I decided to try and find out the reason behind that. And here is the reason. I've been spending way too much time on teaching assistant duties. This is the data for the fall semester of 2020, so I was 6 months into my PhD, and this was my first semester as a teaching assistant. I was also a single TA in the course, even though there should have been two of us. So yeah, I've been working my ass off, but still felt like I'm doing nothing relevant, as research and successes in research are unfortunately the only thing that we as PhD students are evaluated on in the end. Which is probably not fair, but let's keep this for another conversation. What I changed for the second semester is some attitude towards certain teaching assistant duties. For example, I took a time block where I'm only answering student emails and answering their questions. I reused parts of the presentations and course preparations from previous teaching assistants of the course, and similar things. This will be entirely different for you. Well, it's just important to find out what it might be. So here's the data for my second semester. The improvements are obvious. Yes, there have been two TAs this time in the course, but still I figured out how to optimize my time and what I had to do in order to have enough time to do all the required tasks effectively, but still have enough time for my research. I have also had weeks where I would just do organization stuff, filling out forms and other little PhD things. And that's why I'm urging you to try and track your time. You might figure out that you're actually working a lot, but the time is just going into these little things or some maybe not so important things, and you feel occupied and overwhelmed with all the work. But yeah, without knowing what these little things that are occupying your week, you can't expect to improve. So yes, go and try to track the time you spend on each task. It will most certainly give you a better perspective of your PhD life. But very importantly, don't put too much stress on yourself to do so. This is supposed to help you, not bring in additional stress. So if you start working on something and oh my god, I forgot to click on the timer, like, don't worry. If you forgot to click on the timer the whole day, don't worry, turn it on next day. It happens to me that I forget to track my time, even though I'm doing this for 2 years. So just keep going and try to figure out what works for you. I realized I was spending way too much time on little PhD things, so that's why I'm trying to learn how to be better at them through this channel. So I'd be very happy to hear your insight in the matter, and feel free to leave the comment and join our Discord community. Like, what do you do to organize your weekly schedule? What kind of methods work for you? Very curious. To end and to further normalize the image of PhD students and how much time we should work, I don't think it should be too much. I aim to do 12 Pomodoro sessions a day. So that's about 5.5 hours of effective work. And sometimes I get 8 done. When it's maybe close to the deadline, I push to 20 a day for a couple of days. But it's important to realize where your time is going. Time is limited, so don't waste it on stressing about how you've done little work today. You've done enough. You can't expect to work effectively 9 to 9, 6 hours a week. Cheers.